Well, welcome back, watch people. Now I've got a really rare treat for you today. One of the things that I wanted to achieve from my YouTube channel was to try and bring you videos that no other watch YouTuber would be able to obtain. Now today I'm going on a reasonably long trip to see one of my old friends, Spencer at BQ Watches, who have been trading for over 30 years and are an extremely well-known company within the industry. In fact, they're responsible for supplying many independent watch dealers up and down the United Kingdom. Now, Spencer and his team are what I would call proper old school watch dealers. No fuss, no dramas, they do what they say and they pay on the day. And that's one of the reasons that I've always been happy to be associated with Spencer and his team. Now, BQ Watches have kindly given me exclusive permission to go over there today, have a word with some of their staff and have a look at how the operation works. I'm going to take you guys along with me. I'm going to go and get changed, get my glad rags on and get myself on the motorway.
Hi, Paul.
Hey Ellie, how you doing? You okay? Where is he? Hey mate.
Alright, how are you?
Good to see you. You okay? How's things? Good?
Yeah, all good.
Good.
All good.
So we're behind the scenes at BQ Watches. I'm with the owner Spencer. Spencer, thank you so much for inviting me along today. It's a real pleasure to see you. First of all, how's things with you?
Yeah, all good. Yeah.
Busy?
We've got a lot of regular customers who are always asking us everything regarding watches.
They're keeping you on
buying,
your toes.
selling, absolutely.
So first of all, I mean, for anyone that doesn't know about BQ Watches, I mean, I've known about you for years. We've known each other for a very long time. It's a big operation you've got here, and it's, you know, maybe people haven't heard of you. For those that haven't, just tell us a little bit about your business.
We've basically been buying and selling watches now for over 15 years. A lot to buying goods from the public, underwriting to pawnbrokers, jewellers, and checking out all fakes or things that aren't quite right about watches. Basically, we're the one-stop shop for anything to do with Rolexes or any other premium brands. The amount of scams and fraudulent activity and fakes that we've seen over the years is absolutely enormous.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I know from the past, I mean, blimey, when I was dealing years ago, I used to buy watches from yourselves and through other watch dealers that would buy watches from you. So you've been a dealer's dealer, essentially, I would say, for a long time, but you've kind of moved over more into the retail world, is
Absolutely.
that right?
We buy from the public, so they are constantly onto us asking for advice or help, or they've been offered something that they think is too cheap, and obviously because there's something wrong. We've, over the years, helped Flying Squad. We're very, very strong with the watch register. Every watch from us is checked on the lost and stolen, and we're often asked by them to check over watches that's come into their possession.
Yeah, I was talking to the guys from the Flying Squad, and they were very, if you don't mind me saying, they were very complimentary about your business here and the way that you operate. And I know that you, like myself, we both work with Katya at the watch register. It's playing a major role in our lives these days.
Absolutely. I mean, it's good for everyone, because if everyone checked a watch, there wouldn't be nearly as many stolen watches. The other thing, when I speak with the Flying Squad, when they find out that I've been involved in the buying or selling, Kevin there is absolutely over the moon, because he knows we keep paperwork. So anyone who deals with us will have a bank transfer, we'll have a buy-in slip for some ID, we'll have a phone number, an address and an email address. So that's absolutely key.
I mean, obviously we can't show everything on camera, but I've had a look round at spots. Actually, even though I've known Spencer for a long time, it's the first time I've ever ventured this far north, because living in Brighton, you know what I'm like, guys, I don't like to travel too far, but it's my first time to the BQ offices, and I've had a look round, and I've got to tell you, the operation, I'm very impressed, mate. It's big, isn't it? And it's, you talk about paperwork and your records are immaculate, I have to say, immaculate.
Well, we try and pride ourselves on doing things professionally, having everything in order, and do what people expect. I mean, it's very easy nowadays, as you've seen, that people can just pop up and be a watch dealer. But can you go back to them in 6 months, a year, 2 years? Will they be there? We pride ourselves, been doing this 15 years, underwrite to many shops, give prices, and supply and buy and sell watches.
And I think you're being modest there, because when you say 15 years, I know you've actually been in the watch business a hell of a lot longer than that.
Well, prior to that, I had retail jewellery stores.
I just wanted to make that clear, because in the watch trade, 15 years isn't necessarily a lifetime, but Spencer's been around a long time.
Actually, over 30 years. Yeah. I know I don't look that old, but yeah.
So essentially, what would you say your strengths are? BQ Watches, what would you say to someone that doesn't know you? What are your strengths as a business?
Our strengths are anything that someone wants to sell, we'll either arrange to have it collected from them. We use Royal Mail special delivery where we can insure the watch. So we will pay for the postage to come into us, and if a deal isn't done, we will return it to you at no charge. There's absolutely no cost to anyone who wants to sell a watch. We'll give an email with an initial indication of what we'll pay. Then we will check the watch over and check we're happy with everything. We will then go back to the customer and give them a firm price. Then if they accept that, we can speak to a customer at 3 o'clock, the money be in their account within 15-20 minutes. We do a direct bank transfer and then the transaction's done. If for whatever reason they're not happy or they decide they want their watch back, we send it back to them, so we don't charge them anything. The service is totally free.
And under certain circumstances they can come and visit you as well if they want.
They're always welcome to come in, have a tea, have a coffee.
So taking it right from the start, Spencer, because I'm intrigued with this, because I know that you've had shops. My last business was a shop and a lot of people used to come in to me, but take me right from the very beginning. So someone sees one of your ads, maybe they pick up one of your watch packs or whatever, they decide that they want to contact you. So the initial point of contact is maybe a phone call. What will happen? Take me right from the very start. They ring you up, you send them out a watch pack, and then take me from there.
So they may go on one of our websites or respond on email or website. They send in a picture and an indication of what they've got with their watch. We then give them a price. We do speak to people on the phone. If someone doesn't want to, or they're at work, they can email us, we send them a watch pack. If they receive the watch pack on a Monday morning, they then go to the post office and can post the watch to us. Like you say, they're welcome to come into the office by appointment only.
And this is all insured?
They're all fully insured, to whatever level their watch is. So we've seen the watch, we send them a watch pack, they then post it into us. We would then guaranteed the following day by 9:30 to get our post. We would then check their watch over. Takes 2 to 3 hours time we get through all of our posts. By 12:30, 1 o'clock, we'd be on the phone to them and give them a price of what we'd offer them for the watch. If they then go ahead, we then do a bank transfer to them of their money. Some people still like to have paper check. If they want that, we can do that. And that's the transaction done. We don't take a week to respond, 2 weeks to pay.
That's key, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's key.
That's the thing where we feel, we ask our customers for FIFO feedback, which we can provide them of what customers have said about us. But we try and do what it says on the tin.
Okay. So can you insure basically pretty much any value? Because I know you have your own special system of insurance.
We use Royal Mail special delivery. The packages can be insured according to the level of the watch. Or we can arrange to have it collected, or they could come in and see us.
Okay. Now, for me at least, I mean, I've been out of the business now for just over a year. Time flies, but even in the short space of time that I've been out of the business, the watch industry's changed for me. From what I see, from the feedback I get from my dealer friends, many of whom I've obviously we have in common. What do you feel about the watch business in 2020 as we come into the new year? And looking back at maybe 2019 as well, Spencer, how do you think that the watch business has progressed over the last 12, 18 months?
You have got a lot of new people in the business. You've got some people who don't have the knowledge. But like I've seen on some of your videos and what you say, you're investing not only in the watch, in the person.
In the person.
So that if there's a problem with the watch, who is the person behind the watch? And that's where we pride ourselves. If there's a problem, we give 2-year guarantees on all our watches. We thoroughly check the watches before buying them. We then service them before selling them. And we check them on the lost and stolen with watch register. Because unfortunately, Nowadays, that's the only one you've got left.
Yeah.
Rolex, as we know, don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So we check with that. So therefore, if you bought a watch from us and there's a problem in a year's time, we're here. We're not in a serviced office. We're not a man on the street. We're here. And this is the problem that I think some people don't think through, where they may buy a watch somewhere off the internet. That where is that person if you need them, or what backup have you got? And as we know, watches now on a few thousand, they're 5s, 10s, and more.
And upwards,
upwards. So it's a lot of money, and you've got no comeback with it. Not you if you buy it from the wrong person.
It's funny, we're not too dissimilar in age, and we have the same philosophy. Is that absolutely, when I preach this time and time again on my channel, and to anyone that will ever listen, is that you must invest in the seller, because if you fail to invest in the seller, you're leading yourself or opening yourself up to all sorts of problems.
Absolutely. But when we buy a watch, we check it. My watchmaker has a look. We check the movement. We check the case. We check it on lost and stolen. We check everything. If you're a private individual and you're meeting someone and handing over or bank transferring several £1,000s, who has checked the watch for you? Who's done that for you? So if you're entitled to have it cheaper because you're taking a risk. But then, when you've taken the risk and you're not happy with the risk, or you're selling it on, and you've got a problem, it's a big problem.
So would you say you're more trade these days, or more retail, or 50-50?
Probably 50-50. We buy a lot of watches from the public and the trade, and we sell mainly to the trade.
Something I want to ask you, a little bit more light-hearted. One of the things that everyone enjoys about my channel are some of the stories that I tell. And I know I mentioned to this earlier, I'll be honest, I did give him a bit of a heads up. I was going to ask him this question. Give us a story, give us a watch dealer story.
Someone came into me with a Paul Newman, which at the time was £50,000, which was an obscene amount of money. This is when Daytonas were at £5,000-6,000.
Yeah.
So we bought the watch, we sold it for a small profit. I think we sold it on at the time 55,000, because you couldn't afford to leave £50,000 tied up in the watch. It was a huge amount of money. So we sold the watch, and someone I knew who was a fellow watch dealer who had bought that, who bought it from me and had sold it on, it probably changed several hands. And he came up to me about 2 years ago and said, "Do you know that watch that I bought from you? Do you know what one has recently sold in auction?" I said, I'd probably sooner not know. But he went on to tell me that the watch had sold for over £1 million.
Nice.
£1 million.
So could we class that as a mistake? Or not really? It's not fair to call it a mistake, is it?
Looking back, I suppose it's a regret.
The benefit of hindsight.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, a lot of what we've sold over the years.
Absolutely. Watch dealers' hindsight. I mean, just yesterday on my message board, someone said, "What watches do you regret selling?" And my answer was every single one of them, because if I had them all back, they'd be worth about 5 or 10 times more than what I paid for them.
Absolutely. But like someone said to me, you can't eat a watch. Yeah, we buy a watch, we make a profit, we sell a watch.
So on average, Spencer, what would you say? I mean, you don't have to answer this, but how many watches do you think you buy a week? Just literally buying?
We probably handle weekly between 50 to 100 pieces.
50 to 100 watches, and obviously there's a process then, isn't there? They come in, they've got to be inspected, they've got to be serviced, they have to be, if some of them will have to be refinished. What is the turnover on some of that? From the moment you get a watch in, and it first comes
time scale?
Yeah, what does it take?
Probably 4 to 6 weeks. Some can be quicker if they don't need much. I mean, our preferred is where we buy a watch in very good condition, that can just
pretty much ready to go.
And for those we'll pay more. But when you're buying Datejust and Submariners from early 90s that are getting on, I mean, even an early 90s watch, we don't consider that old now, it's 30 years old. They always need something. Glass, regulator, polish.
What's your take on there's been a lot of talk about the Rolex bubble and prices. I mean, what is your take? Because listen, just like me, it wasn't long ago that we was buying pretty much anything other than maybe still Daytonas. I was getting authorised dealer reps into me from Italy, Greece, Spain, and I'm buying steel and gold subs with 25% off list. Not that long ago, is it? So what's your take on what's happening with prices today? And more importantly, Spencer, do you think it's going to last, or how do you think it's going to pan out? I know it's a tough one for a watch dealer, but it's a sort of question that the viewers will appreciate.
I think, just looking back, not much has gone down. And at times when there's been pieces that we think, how can that keep going? I mean, when Daytonas were 7 and 8,000 and 10,000, we thought that was huge. The new Daytona came out. When I first saw them, 13, 14,000, everyone goes, I'll wait for them to come down. I think they then moved on to sort of 17, 18,000. We saw them break 20. People have, even in the trade, were 20, 22,000 whites and blacks. Now they seem to have come just below 20,000 at the moment. I mean, it changes on a daily basis, but that's the sort of money they are. I just don't know. It's a huge risk of a watch that retails at 9,000. That if suddenly Rolex released the floodgates and a load of Daytonas came in the market, they must fall.
Is it ever going to happen though? I mean, I always preach this, is that when we look at Rolex in particular, and probably most manufacturers, but Rolex in particular, I always take my lessons from history. And I can't remember the last time Rolex opened a Daytona floodgate.
No.
So I don't really see that happening in the future. No. It's a lot of money for, like you say, a stainless steel watch, you know, retails for under 10 grand or just over now, is it, after the price increase. I don't ever see them suddenly going, well look, there you go, anyone that wants one can have a Daytona. It's just not going to be, is it?
Yeah. No, you're probably right. I like the question you mentioned on your YouTube channel, where you said that you could go and order a watch, pay your money, and within 12 months you get the watch. That would be far better. As we know, they held back the cards, which has been deemed illegal, so everyone gets the cards, which I thought was totally
crazy.
Crazy. But unfortunately, we don't seem to get the opportunity to speak with them. We don't actually exist, you know, watch dealers. But if someone wants a Daytona or a GMT or a Pepsi or a Submariner within the 12-month period, they've got to go and pay for it. And they've got to pay a little bit over list. But I totally agree, like a car, put your money down, pay for it, get it within 12 months.
Everyone knows you're serious then, don't they? And the flippers are not going to want to lay out, you know, 40, 50, 60,000 pounds to order, you know, 4, 5, 6 watches. They're not going to want to do that.
They wouldn't want to do that, but if they were to do it, a Daytona at 10,000 might sell for a 5-10% premium, which fair enough. And I think some people who want one tomorrow say, okay, I don't want to wait a year, I'll pay 500, 1,000.
But that makes it all
sensible. But going back, like you were saying, to years ago, we were giving 20-25% off gold Rolexes. Subs, we were getting 14% and giving away 10% discount. And everyone was happy. I mean...
But then we were the good guys. You see, people call us grey dealers. When we were giving people discounts off a brand new Rolex, we were the good guys. Now we have to ask over list. We're the bad guys. But it's not actually, I'm always trying to tell people this, it's not the grey dealers as such, that these big prices are not originating from the grey dealers. They're originating from the first eyes-on purchaser, the person that gets it from the AD, and they are instantly. I mean, if you don't mind, we was talking earlier on, and you mentioned about the price of I think it was a B&R, and you know how much profit the private individual is expecting personally after just simply going to buy the watch, and then how much you can make on that watch afterwards. The difference is phenomenal, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, just going back to those, we're all often criticised that we're the people making big money. They think when we sell a Daytona at 18,000, we're paying 10, and we're the people being greedy. What they don't realise is most people who deal in watches, like yourself, like me, I've never ever got a watch at list or had any relationship with any of the shops. So we are paying, like you mentioned earlier, the Batgirl on the Jubilee. I had someone who the best I could buy it for was $12,150, and I had a customer at $12,500. So I've made £350 on the watch. The person buying it wouldn't let it go at 12 because he wanted to make 5,000 and his cost was 7,150.
That's why he wanted the extra 150.
So he wanted 12,150.
Yeah.
So, like you say, we're making a modest amount of money, 300, 350 pounds, and we're here and guaranteeing the watch, whereas it's the person who goes to the AD who is the person who has got that relationship, and because they bought a few watches, they keep getting offered these watches. And again, another idea maybe with some of these ADs, look, why does someone need one or two, one still watch? They shouldn't let them keep buying the watches. So the people who are flipping them are their regular customers. But years ago, people spoke about them having a database of what people are holding. Another great idea, I feel, would be to have a logbook of a watch.
Absolutely, 100%.
Well, watches are most watches are more money than cars.
Yeah.
You could have a 2-3 grand car that's on a V5 and you track it. So much the same. Register a watch.
Well, look, I've said this before, Spencer. I couldn't agree more. When you look at a company, for example, like Patek Philippe, and they're quite stunning extract from the archive where you can go and trace a watch that was bought in 1898 or whatever, and then you compare that with Rolex and what you get offered from Rolex in the way of registration, etc. It's a little bit archaic these days, isn't it? Don't you think?
100%.
For a blue chip company like Rolex, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a little bit.
And it would be a cost to them. But surely within all the millions that they turn over, tens, hundreds of millions. I mean, if you go into certain luxury stores, I've been with my wife, a Gucci bag, they take your name, address and email the receipt to you.
Yeah.
They want your data.
Yeah.
They want to know for marketing purposes. So Rolex, again, as a business, should want to know who's got what watch. And it would be great to track a watch or have a logbook. Then you could see how many owners. So that would be their way, rather than holding back the card or not letting people, that would be their way of seeing, like a car logbook shows the miles, you see it at the MOT.
Yeah.
So if a watch has changed hands 10 times, or you see someone's name keep popping up on watches, you'd know.
Yeah, exactly. I actually did a video the other day, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's about an app. I think Rolex now need to come into the 21st century. When you buy a watch, you're given a code into the official Rolex app, which can be used as well for checks on the lost and stolen register. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that, because one of the reasons that Spencer and I, we speak quite a lot, and one of the reasons that we have such a good relationship is we've both got a bit of a bee in our bonnet about watch crime. And I know, we both feel the same way about it, because we've seen the victims and what it can do. We won't go into that. But what do you think about Rolex's lack of assistance with the general public and taking away the lost and stolen register from us? What do you make of it?
It's crazy.
I know it's a difficult question, but I'd love to have the
Going
answer.
back to years ago, you used to be able to phone, a pawnbroker could check, or someone's loaning money, the status of the watch to know that it's got a clean bill of health, like you would with the car. Like HPI. HPI is £25.
Yeah.
So they could very easily do, like you say, an app, or even their old-fashioned system. They could charge people £10, £20. We're all paying different amounts. Watch register £3-5 for a check. But it would be far better if the manufacturers were on it or fed in more information. But the fact that they used to do it and now don't, it doesn't make sense.
What was their motive, do you think? What's your own personal opinion? I've got mine and I've made it public, but I'd like to know what yours is.
Just couldn't be bothered, possibly. Just basically, I mean, there's no reason. Watches now are minimum £5,000 from Rolex. As we've said, cars are 2,000-3,000. Registered HPI, a logbook. What they could so easily do it. Even it could be a whole division, and it would make money.
It would definitely make money.
But it would give more respect to the brand. But all the handbag brands now take details. Chanel bags, they all have serial numbers inside, and you register them. Not so much register, you go on their database.
And you're there. You're known. Yeah. I mean, I've made my thoughts on the lost and stolen register well known in the past, but my take on it is I just think that Rolex wanted to drive as many potential Rolex owners out of the pre-owned dealers and into the authorised dealers, because look, let's make no mistake, Rolex are in the business of two things. They're in the business of selling new watches and servicing old ones. And I just feel that it was a disservice to the brand's followers to take that lost and stolen register away. I'm campaigning right now to try and get Rolex to reintroduce that. But tell us a little bit more about your work with Katya at the watch register as well, because I know that's important to you. We've both been working with them. Where do you see the future there? Do you think there's a chance that one day something could be done with the watch manufacturers?
It's all we've got. So as long as the more traffic that's driven to it, whenever someone tells me they've had a loss or they've lost the watch, had a watch stolen, I say, give me the details, I forward it to Katya. She's building a database, they're doing a great job, and it's all the information they get fed. They're only as good as what they get fed, so the more we talk about it, the more we pass the information on. But it would have been, I mean, just going back to your comment on Rolex, so they want to service old watches, sell new watches. They can do more than they do.
Yeah.
So if you've lost a watch and you went to the Rolex store and said, my watch got stolen, they say, oh, I'm really sorry. But if they kept the model, the serial number, put on a database, they'd be helping you about it.
Yeah.
They could do more.
And it takes their own brand forward, doesn't it?
Well, they could register the amount of owners with it. But if someone has lost their watch and it was stolen with the papers and they haven't got the model or serial number or anything, they could hold that information for you. A bit like key holding companies or people if you lose your credit cards. You give all the information, so when you lose your wallet, you phone them and they deal with everything. So Rolex have sold you a watch and are not interested in tracking or trying to help you that you're a victim of crime. So absolutely they can do more. Watch register, the way forward, is the best thing we've got at the moment, and I'm hoping it will continue and more people get their watches back. I mean, we buy thousands of credits every year and we phone every watch through, from a £300 tag to a £20,000-30,000 Rolex or a Patek. Everything is checked. And what I make clear as well, I would check it doesn't matter who the person is. If it was my brother and aunt, uncle,
exactly,
or another watch dealer,
you never know the history.
Well, you don't know, and we have had some embarrassing situations where something has been claimed on in a robbery in a shop, and then they found it. So it was logged as being lost or stolen, and then they found it in the store. Haven't bothered to clear it. And we phoned up and said we was on lost. So this does happen.
Let's move away from Rolex just for a minute, because I often get accused of being too Rolex focused. So what would you say? I mean, obviously Rolex is going to be your number one selling watch. That goes without question, that you buy and sell, I would imagine. What would you say is second behind Rolex these days? What do you like to buy?
Cartiers, Omegas are great watches and reasonably priced, but a good strong watch. Breitlings, any timepiece really, anything from sort of a tag upwards.
And what would you say, apart from Rolex, what would you say is the most common brand that you get offered? Would it be Omega or Cartier, would you say?
Probably Omega, Cartier, Breitling, behind Rolex.
Now, one that always amuses me, Spencer, is that everyone, I know a lot of watch dealers say, oh, everyone's a watch dealer these days. Just looking around your operation here, which is quite considerable, going to make you cry now, mate. Tell us something about your outgoings and what it's like to be a...
You really are going to make...
I was going to say, I'm going to upset you.
What can I say? To do things properly, you've got to have the right premises, the right security, which we've got here, insurances, you've got taxes to pay, you've got VAT to pay, IT, our advertising costs.
To put it into perspective, we're not talking about hundreds, we're talking about many thousands of pounds every week. Every week.
Absolutely. But, to do things properly, that's what we need, and we've been doing this 15 years. But this is where I always say, on buying, on selling something, we're not always cheapest, but we're not looking to be cheap because we're doing it properly.
We're doing it properly. I better make it clear, I'm not trying to make anyone feel sorry for us, because I mean, I've seen Spencer's new push bike outside. He's doing very well, actually. Just on the Brighton Watch Show that you very kindly supported and came to, I think that day kind of was really typical of what I'm trying to achieve with my YouTube channel, at least. I mean, before today, the watch buying public, particularly in the UK, because obviously Spencer's based in the UK, never have really had the opportunity to come inside in the back of the watch business, because by nature we're quite a private and sort of security conscious bunch, aren't we? But I think we've managed to start bringing watch fanatics, watch people, watch buyers behind the scenes a little bit more and finding out what people are really like.
Oh, cool. I mean, I take my hat off to you. I said the event you put on I thought was first class. From pulling up, from having security take you into the venue, you had a good half dozen, 8 people there, security wise.
Yeah.
You also had some undercover people, I think.
Yeah, we had 2 undercover,
that wandered around. No one felt at any time under pressure or a threat. It was a lovely atmosphere in there. You got people who were genuinely looking to buy or sell, and wanting to do stuff. For the first event, it was fantastic.
Yeah,
it really was.
And I think the one thing that came back from the feedback that came back to me from the people that visited was how nice the watch dealers were. They don't know us, do they, mate? They think we're all horrible money grabbing thieves, but you know, we have a kind of, the watch dealing community is quite a tight knit circle. I believe it's always been quite a tight knit circle, and I've always sort of informed the public that you're welcome in that circle until you start messing about or you do something wrong, and then we ostracise our own, don't we? We kind of police our own community, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Security is very important. We don't want to be taken for a ride, and again, I've never of paying people and honesty, or that's what we pride ourselves on.
Yeah, exactly. It's vital, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, look, Spencer, it's been absolutely wonderful coming to me today, and if it's okay with you, I'm sure that our viewers would actually like to see more of your operation in the future. Maybe I'll come back and we'll film some, we'll get you to get some watches in here so that we can get some watches filmed. But I'm going to leave it today with a question. What's the most expensive watch that you've ever sold? I'm interested.
Okay, wow. Going back over the years, the dearest one that I've sold was a Patek, which was about...
How much was that?
250,000.
250,000 UK pounds. That's quite considerable, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's some watch dealers out there that would say that's cheap. I mean, there's some of these dealers in the UAE.
Yeah.
Are massive, aren't they? Some of them, they're knocking around with 50, 60 million pounds worth of Richard Milles in stock. It's crazy.
Agreed, but I mean, I thought that was...
It's not the world where we want to be, is it really? 250 is a big watch.
250 was a big piece. Off someone.
Yeah. So bread and butter, it's just going back to what you do. Your bread and butter business is Rolex, Patek, Vacheron. Do you have Vacheron, many Vacherons in?
A few Vacherons,
Breitling, Omega,
Chanel, Panerai, all the mainstream. Probably our core market is probably 5 to 15,000, that sort of price band.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed that, everyone watching out there. And I'll say once again, I'm going to thank Spencer from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to come over today. Can't wait to do it again, Spencer. Thanks ever so much, and we'll speak again soon.
Thank you.
You take care, mate. Thank you.
Thank you.